Hello, hi Roa.
Hi, Stephanie.
Good to see you again.
Me too, thanks.
Good. My computer is running a little bit slow. I had some problems in my last lesson, but I restarted. It's still slow, but hopefully won't be a problem. But
Okay.
if there is a problem, just let me know.
Okay.
Thank you. We should have a full class tonight again.
Okay. You will wait?
Yeah, we'll just wait a minute. So you are taking your, is it the TOEFL exam or is it the IEL?
No, I prepare for TOEFL or IELTS. I don't know
Oh, okay.
which one I'll take, but I prepare for both.
Okay. Well, good. You should be able to pass both, I'm sure. Good.
Yeah, thanks.
Wonderful. And hello, Wellington.
Hello. I thought that the next class should be tomorrow, but it's today, so I'm here.
Well, I'm glad you're here. This should be a fun and interesting one, I think. I really liked the video, and I think we'll have a good discussion based on it. And hi, Sergey.
Hello, we met today.
Yes, I remember. Welcome back. I'm really glad you're here. I think this lesson will be more interesting and valuable.
I'm sorry, yes, because it was so boring for me. I'm sorry.
No, I understand. Yeah, I understand. It was a tough, that first poem was, if I could do it again, I would not use that first poem. Just too kind of obscure and difficult and not necessarily interesting.
But it's okay. It's okay.
Yes, well, I'm glad you're back to try another class. This will probably be more interesting for you.
I hope so.
Good. And psicólogo, I forgot, what is your name again?
Paulo.
Paolo, I'm sorry.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well. Welcome to class.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. And Jorge, welcome.
Hello, Stephanie.
Good to see you again so soon.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
So in my last lesson, I was having some problems with my computer. My screen kind of got stuck halfway off the screen. I've restarted, and hopefully it's running more smoothly. But please tell me if there's anything that's not working. Let me know. There should be a few more people joining us, but we will get started. So this lesson is called How Languages Evolve, and it is based around a short TED Talk. The video itself is only 4 minutes long, but we'll have a discussion before and after, and I hope you will learn something new and improve your English, of course. So this TED Talk I chose because I am very interested in linguistics. My bachelor's degree is in linguistics, but I graduated, it's been 7 years since I graduated, So sadly, we forget much of what we've learned. And so this video for me was a good refresher about how languages came to be and how they expand and grow. So that's kind of the background. The way we will do this lesson, there are some questions that go along with the video. We'll go through the questions beforehand for two purposes. To get you familiar with the vocabulary and the topics that you'll be hearing, and also to prepare your brains for what you're about to see. So we'll go through the questions before we watch the video, then we'll watch the video, and then we'll go back to the questions to get definitive answers. And if there's time, we'll go into the digging deeper section and look at related topics. So, are there any questions so far? Anything in general?
No, for now, thank you.
All right. So, before I go right to the TED Talk, I do have a beautiful JPEG that is related to our topic today. So I'm going to share that first, and we'll just kind of look at it. We won't, if you have any questions about it, of course, ask, but it's just something I wanted to share, help us get ready for today's topic. So I'm going to share that right now. It is an artistic rendering of a language tree. And I believe the creator of this tree was looking at Nordic languages. So this is a linguistic tree that demonstrates kind of the history and evolution of the Nordic families. I hope you can see it okay. So if we look at the top, we see modern languages, and the size of the leaves represents, artistically represents the number of present-day speakers. So we see English is very large with many speakers. Spanish, there are also many speakers. This is, again, not all the languages. You'll notice that we're missing Chinese. So the Eastern Asian languages, many of them are not related, so they're not on this tree. But this is very beautiful. I someday would like to have this hanging in my living room. The size of the trunk and the branches of the tree represents the native speakers before year 0. So we see many Indo-European speakers and far fewer Uralic speakers. Any questions or comments on this tree? Just kind of a visual image to get us thinking about how languages are related.
Okay.
Your tree is beautiful. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I like it because when I was studying linguistics, it's very, it's considered a soft science, but it's still very science-like. So it can be dry at times. And this is the first language tree I've seen that actually looks like a real tree. Just very beautiful, good illustration of what we will talk about today, and what we'll be watching. All right, so with that, let's get into our TED Talk. I'll share the screen. We are going to have, I believe there are 5 multiple choice questions. We will not arrive at a definite answer right now, but after the video, we'll have all the answers. And then there are 3 open-ended questions, so we'll kind of look at those but discuss them more in depth after the video. All right, so here we go. Starting with the first multiple choice question. And you can answer in the chat, or you can speak your answer, however you prefer. First question, what does it mean for 2 languages to be related? A, they are spoken in the same country or region. B, they are written in the same alphabet. Or C, they evolved from the same older language.
I think it is the correct is C.
Yeah. And this is perhaps common knowledge. Perhaps it was given away in the language tree as well. Yeah, when they're related, they evolved from the same older language. And that's the main topic of the video today. Good. So number 2, what is a proto-language? A very primitive language. B, the earliest known ancestor of a group of related languages. Or C, a basic form of a language as spoken by people learning it. What do you think?
What is proto?
Very good. And here, when we're looking at these questions in order to preview, we won't necessarily know the answers, but we'll take our best guesses. And I'll tell you, proto means early or before.
Okay. Primitive, original. Okay.
Yeah. So I see C. Yeah. I'm not going to say. So these are all primitive would be like undeveloped. Yeah.
Yeah, a very primitive language.
Yeah. I think that's a good guess. These are all pretty kind of similar ideas. So keep that word proto-language in the front of your mind as you watch the video and be listening for this answer. Good. So next question. Which of these words are most likely to be borrowed from another language? A, words for family members, B, pronouns, or C, words for plants and animals?
I guess words for plants and animals.
Good guess, good guess. And the video will actually tell us what is least likely to be borrowed. So when you're watching and listening to the video, be listening for words that are least likely to be borrowed. And we'll come back and we'll find the definite answer. Great. Also, as we're previewing these questions, if you have any vocabulary questions, please ask now, because a lot of this vocabulary is in the video as well. So number 4, what is the difference between a language and a dialect? A, there is no defined cutoff point. B, dialects are always mutually understandable. Or C, a language must have official status in at least one country.
What is the meaning of dialect?
Good. So it's hard to define, actually. A dialect is like a variation of a language. So let's see. For English, for example, American English is one dialect. British English is another dialect. And dialects can even be smaller, broken down further. For example, the Creole spoken in Louisiana is a dialect of American English.
Repeat, please. In Louisiana?
Yeah, the state in the United States, Louisiana, there is a dialect called Creole, which is a blend of French and English.
Okay.
Yes, very similar to a patois.
Okay.
Good question. Any other questions on vocabulary in here or guesses as to the answer?
I guess the language must have official status in at least one country.
All right. Good guess. Good guess. Interesting. Excellent. Let's look at our next preview, or our next question. Which is not a reason for linguistic divergence? A, migration and encountering different groups and environments. B, political and historical events. Or C, different brain structure among different groups of people.
Number C, different brain structure among different groups of people.
Good. Good, yeah. So when we are talking about linguistic divergence, we're talking about how languages differ from one another. Good, so good guess there. Any questions on this or other thoughts?
No.
Good, okay. And so that brings us to our 3 open-ended questions, and I'd like to have a little discussion before watching. So why are words that sound similar and have similar meanings not enough to establish a relation between languages? So again, we have not watched the video. We may have different background knowledge about linguistics and history of languages, but I would just like your general thoughts or guesses. What do you think? Why are words that sound similar not enough to establish a relationship between languages?
I don't know.
Good, yeah. Yeah, I would just guess, of course I've seen the video, but sounds are arbitrary. It's one of the first principles we learn in linguistics, that a sound doesn't have meaning in and of itself. So a sound all by itself is just a sound. So it makes sense that 2 languages could have the same sounds just through coincidence, not because they're related. That's my guess, or kind of basic answer.
Okay.
Stephanie, you know these examples, these words which are similar and have similar meanings between, for example, 2 languages, yes?
Yes.
Do you know some maybe 2 words, for example, which are similar, like a meaning and the sounds like?
Yes, yeah. So I could, thinking of English and Spanish, we have the English word embarrassed, and in Spanish there is a word, embarazada. The 2 sound almost exactly the same. They look a lot alike. yet when we define them, embarrassed means to have shame or shame at something, whereas in Spanish, embarazada means pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they sound a lot alike, and there's they don't. Okay, so I guess that's not a very good example. They don't have similar meanings at all, but they sound exactly the same. Let me try to think of ones with similar meanings.
It's only family members, for example, pa, ma, like father, mother, maybe like this.
Those actually, that's an interesting. Family words are interesting because it seems that many languages have, like mama is a common thing to call your mother in English, Spanish, in Czech, and probably many other languages. But they may not, in fact, I think that might be a good example. Similar meaning, sound similar, but not necessarily related. That word may come from simply, it might be that human beings are capable of producing those sounds earlier than other sounds. And so we use those sounds to refer to a common person, often the first person we talk about. Yeah, I think mama might be a good example of sound similar and have similar meanings, but not necessarily come from the same language family. If I think of another example, I'll say so. And I think the video, in the images, I think they give a couple examples. So if someone can look for those, and I'll try to catch them when they come up. Good. Any other comments or anything on this question?
Well, regardless of the size of the relation, we're not talking about how much is the relation. I think every language has a kind of relation. Just like the tree you showed us at the beginning of the class. So I think all languages has at least a minimal relation between them.
Mm-hmm. It does seem like, yeah, it certainly seems like perhaps there once was one language that then split into thousands. And I know that's one hypothesis in linguistics, and the video will talk about that a bit. Good comment. So let's go on to question 7 here. Again, just guessing, just getting ready for viewing. What are some reasons that it's impossible to give an exact number for how many different languages there are? So,
because some languages are not registered.
Are not what?
Are not registered. Are not
registered.
Are not,
maybe.
Yes, are not writing.
Oh yeah. So some languages are only spoken, and spoken by few people. Don't have a written record. Are not well known. Yeah, definitely. That sounds like one.
Because too, the languages change a lot all the time, so it's difficult to exactly photograph the moment that they change. All time, language change.
Yeah, good point. Living languages are constantly changing. So, for example, modern day English compared with Old English, are those two different languages? Are they the same language? It's hard to define. Good. Any other responses or comments about that question?
Well, and there is also the fact that the words become more and more globalized. So there are so many people living in other countries, and they are gradually changing the way people talk. So So it's becoming harder to define which language is the official language. I think the status will change in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, good. The globalization of language is an interesting factor in this. I would love to be alive 500 years from now and see what's happening with language.
But I read once in in a video from BBC that the fact is because one language there are many languages that we have to the register. We don't have. They are not writing. So I think I believe that this is the cause.
Mm-hmm.
The mainly cause. The main cause to the why we don't have the exact number.
Yeah, good point. Again, it's hard to count the languages when there are unregistered or unwritten languages, or languages with few speakers, languages that are deep in the forest.
Yeah, exactly. We forget about the lost tribe, for example, in a deep forest in Africa, in another regions, and they have a own language.
Yeah. Here in Brazil,
for example,
there are tribes that the Indian tribes that we don't know the knowledge. So how we can how can we to know the exact number? It's we I think never will be the number.
Yeah.
The number of the languages.
We can't count what we don't know, right? Yeah. Good point. Good. Yeah, and Maduri in the chat mentions endangered languages. Yeah.
Yeah. Many languages are dying.
Yeah, and many of those are dying because they aren't known, because there aren't many speakers, because they are unwritten. Yeah, so many different reasons why it's hard to say an exact number of languages on the planet. Good thoughts, good discussion. Anything else on this question before our last question? Good. So, and this is a very open-ended question. What can linguistics teach us about the history and culture of ancient peoples? What can the study of language kind of teach us about?
If you watched some TV programs like BBC and Discovery's channel, many travelers and I think in linguistics too go into the forest to the ancient peoples, and they make a record. They record a video, some material, get some material about ancient peoples, and like now we teach us about the history and the culture using TV and another communications.
Yeah. So looking at how people communicate gives us insight into the past, how they used to communicate. So there's quite a bit we can learn. Good. I don't want to say too much more. Are there any other comments in response to this question or in general?
I think that the linguists teach us how we are similar with the ancient people in terms of the feelings, emotions, and desires and behaviors too. Like the historians found out the manuscript from people in the Orient Media, in Middle East, and the manuscripts wrote about the customs and how people teach each other, and it's similar nowadays, like the desire, the emotion, like our feelings, our angles, and our relationship with our spirituality too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to be learned from looking at old manuscripts and communication in the past. It's in that way it's very similar to anthropology, where an anthropologist might dig up items from an ancient culture and be able to learn about life for that culture. Words are the same for linguists. They can tell about the past, about how people used to live. Good. Okay. So I think we're ready to watch the video. I do believe I'm going to pull it up in the YouTube app. And just give me a second in doing that. I've only used the YouTube app here on Verbling a few times. And technology is not my strong suit, but I should be able to get it here. Okay.
Can you repeat? Technology is not your strong?
My strong suit. That is an idiom related to playing cards, I believe. If you have a strong suit when you're playing cards, you, like in poker, or, well, no, I guess it would be more bridge. If you have a strong suit, you have a lot of one suit, so a lot of clubs or a lot of hearts or a lot of diamonds. So we say not my strong suit means I'm not good at it. I don't have a lot of skills in that area.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, really good question. Okay, so can you all see the video part on your, or are you seeing me still?
You.
Okay, sorry. I do have the video.
Can you give us a link of this video? Have you a link of the video?
Oops. Sorry, let me put the link in the chat directly also. Do I have to, maybe I have to screen share as well? No. Okay. Sorry, I thought it went right to it when I opened the YouTube app. Okay, so it is working.
It's working?
Oh, is it working?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. From my end, I can.
Stephanie, we see you.
Okay.
Yes,
so
but guys, you need to push a button from the left side. It's red button like with a white triangle. It's a YouTube icon.
Okay. So everyone has to go to the YouTube app, correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
apologize. Yeah, so on the left-hand side, you should see just, at least on my screen, it's just above the Verbling app. So click on that YouTube app and hopefully you should see.
Okay.
Okay, so it looks like if one of us touches the video, it changes it for all of us. Yep, so I'm going to hit play, and if anyone else presses any, try not to. All right. So that was the video, very brief but very dense. So a lot of information in a short
Быстро,
time.
коротко. Так что в режиме брифа говорят, да, еще там?
What's that?
Да.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Sergey?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Can you repeat?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. All right, so just quickly, I feel like she speaks, in the video, she speaks very quickly. It is short enough that we could watch it again if you want to. I just want to see kind of, in general, are we ready to go back to the questions, or would you like to watch again? Do you feel ready to discuss? Anyone?
Yes,
I would like to watch it again if there's no problem, but if everyone agrees, of course.
Good. So one vote to watch it again. Roa, what were you going to say?
Yes, I want you, please, Stephanie, clear the main idea because she speaks very quickly and
Good. Yeah.
I can't understand some details.
Yeah. I also wonder if I can put the closed captioning up as it's playing. I know the first time I watched it, I was able to read as she was speaking. I feel that she speaks very quickly. The main ideas are that that among the thousands of languages that there are, most can be traced back to a few proto-languages or superfamilies. So languages are more related than we think they are. For as different as they sound, there's a lot of connections among them. And they sound different for reasons, phonological reasons and historical reasons.
Why is so wide variation of languages from 3,000 until 8,000?
Yeah, it's a huge range, and it's because of the reasons we talked about before class. If I were to give a short answer, there is a big range of languages because it depends on your definition of what a language is.
Besides, the video showed us that it's hard to define whether it's a dialect or a language. So it's not up to. We're not able to define if there is just a single dialect or it's just a variation of a language, or it's a new language. So.
Yeah. So it really depends on what is considered a language, and the count will change depending on the definition of the person who's counting. Good. All right, so unless there's any strong arguments against, I think it's a good idea for us to quickly watch the video one more time and then go back to our questions. So if that's all right, go back to your YouTube app. Thank you, Wellington, for sharing that in the chat. I thought I had pasted the URL, but I didn't press send. I will do that now. Okay. I apologize. We should have maybe watched that through screen share so I could have had the closed captioning. She really does speak very quickly. But I hope you got more out of the second viewing.
Yeah, in the Google there is the caption.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Good. So please do watch this even a third time with the captioning. We won't in the class because I'd like to give you more opportunities to discuss. But so let's go back to the questions. And now we should have more definite answers. So back to the first question, what does it mean for two languages to be related? And what do you all think? You can enter your answer in the chat or say it.
I think it will be they evolved from the same older language.
Yeah. Yep, that's definitely our answer here. So, for example, for A, they are spoken in the same country or region. Well, that can't be our answer. For example, in my country, English and Spanish are both widely spoken, and they are not related, at least not in a recent family. If you trace back far enough, they are both Indo-European. But Spanish is a Romance language from Latin, and English is a Germanic language. And two languages can be related, but not written in the same alphabet. For example, Czech and Russian. They're both Slavic languages, but one is written in the Roman alphabet, and one is written in the Cyrillic alphabet. Russian is in Cyrillic, and Czech is in the Roman alphabet. So yes, the answer is C. Any other comments on that one?
No, this
Good.
is right.
Good. All right. So what is a proto-language? Anyone catch the definition, the answer?
I think it's the A option, a very primitive language.
Yeah.
I think I understood in the video that the proto-language was the first language that the rest of the language evolved.
Yeah. So let me expand a little bit on the word primitive. Often it's taken to mean old, but in its true definition, primitive means undeveloped. So in the undeveloped sense of primitive, I think we have to exclude this answer because a proto-language would be just as complex and developed as a modern-day language. Language is necessarily complex and very developed. So under that sense of the word primitive, I think we need to throw that answer out. Or look at B as maybe a better answer. So yeah, I believe B is our answer. Any thoughts on that, or anyone else? What do you all think?
It'll be okay.
Yeah, it's definitely not C. Definitely not C. I think the answer is B. Proto means early or original. Like in the word prototype, if you have a prototype of a product, it's the first version of a product, and it can be very complex and developed.
Proto the prototype. Oh,
yeah, like prototype. Yeah. Move on. So number 3, which of these words are most likely to be borrowed from another language? This was interesting for me. What do you think?
I don't understand the video. I don't pick the video.
Yeah, this was tricky. And in the video, it said what's least likely to be borrowed. So languages often borrow from each other, but they do so out of necessity. So if there's already a word in a language for a thing, you wouldn't borrow a new word from a different language. So words for family members are almost, I want to say, never borrowed. Every language has a word for mother, so they don't need to borrow someone else's word for mother. So family members, those are not words that will be borrowed. Pronouns as well. Pronouns are, I believe every language has pronouns, and they're so common in languages that, again, they aren't borrowed from other languages because they already exist. And so our answer is C, which I believe you knew before we watched. These are likely to be borrowed because if you go to a new place, you learn new plants and new animals that you've never seen before, that there are no words for in your language. So you would borrow the native word for the animal or the plant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions or comments on that one? All right. Moving on. What is the difference between a language and a dialect? So the video talked about this one quite a bit. What do you think? What is our answer here?
Letter A?
Yeah. Yep, and that's why there is such a large range, right? Between 3,000 and 8,000. And I think it gave the example of Chinese. Chinese is considered to be one language with many dialects. However, a speaker of one dialect can't understand a speaker of another dialect, whereas Spanish speakers can often understand Portuguese and vice versa. Yeah, so A is our answer there. Questions or comments on that one?
No.
Okay, moving on. I'm looking at the time. This question, which is not a reason for linguistic divergence. What do you think?
Migration and encountering different groups and environments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is, so linguistic divergence, we're talking about why languages are different from each other. So our answer is actually going to be C, because it's not a reason for why languages are different. When people move, especially in the past, language would change as they moved.
Yeah.
Yeah, also politics can change language, but human brains are structured basically the same between different groups. So that's not one of our reasons. Good. Let's get to our open-ended. These are, oh yikes, we don't have that much time. I don't want to talk too much about this one. I think we answered this in the beginning quite a bit. The video said that the sounds alone are not enough to establish a relationship. The video said looking at grammar and syntax is actually more telling. So if two languages share grammatical structures, they're more likely to be related.
Okay.
All right, and I think we've arrived at a good answer for this. What do you what are some reasons it's impossible to give an exact number for how many different languages there are? And this is related to the dialects. Does anyone want to answer that one for us? Yeah. I think it's, again, it depends on who is counting and what their definition of a language is. And also the possibility of there being languages no one's ever heard, or that scholars and linguists have never heard. And finally, what can linguistics teach us about the history and culture of ancient peoples? Does anyone have an answer for this one for us? Yeah, I feel like we kind of answered this one pretty well before the video. If we think of language as an object, then linguists learn from language the same way that anthropologists learn from pottery. All right, I'm going to stop there. I hope you enjoyed that a little bit. I hope you got something out of it. Again, I don't know how well I hit the mark with levels. It can be a fine line between picking something that's challenging and picking something that's too challenging. I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed some of the lesson at least. I hope you all learned something new. I know a lot of it was pretty new for me too. Any comments or questions or final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Very interesting class, but a bit difficult for me to speak about the origin of languages and how they are related among them. Very interesting.
Well, good. Yeah, it was a pretty dense topic and hard to tell what kind of background knowledge is necessary. But thank you all for participating. Thank you for your thoughts and your patience. And I like TED Talks, and I hope to teach a few more classes with them. And I will do a variety of different topics. Just to suit the variety of learners. So if you enjoyed it, look for more coming up soon. Probably next Saturday I'll do one.
Thank you, teacher.
All right.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Bye. Thank you all. Hope to see you soon.
Bye all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye, Stephanie.
Goodbye. See you soon.